In this video, you will learn what my superhero origin story is and how it's important to my journey over the past 3 years. And how I transformed myself from this dorky, insecure, overweight kid into someone that's a little less insecure, but definitely not less dorky. But first off, before we go into my superhero origin story, let's ask ourselves, what even is a superhero origin story and why is it important in the first place? Now that we know a superhero origin story is just an event that causes a regular person to become the superheroes we all love, what are some already well-known origins that we do know and love? As a boy, Batman watched both his parents die in Crime Alley. Spider-Man watched his Uncle Ben die after being bit by a spider and learned what it means to be responsible. The Flash being struck by lightning and still having no clue what it means to be responsible when it comes to the timeline. Now, what does this mean for me? Because I did not watch my parents die in an alleyway. Unfortunately, I was not bitten by a radioactive spider and watched my uncle die. And as far as my memory serves me, I was not struck by lightning because I'd probably have a stutter if I was. Well, obviously, I don't have superpowers, but I do have the second important part to the origin story, and that is events, and I would even say some tragedies that have happened that have turned me into the person you see on your screen today, especially over the past 3 years. So, as we've all been waiting for, or at least I've been waiting for while editing this video, let's start from the beginning one last time and dive deep into my personal origin story. Starting from the beginning truly means going back to even some of my earliest memories as just a little boy. But, yeah, I always grew up a little overweight, and it just progressively got worse as the years went on. And that was my own fault, not anybody else's. I had issues with food, and not gonna lie, I still kind of do, just different issues. But, yeah, that's where it started, really, is I just always remember being a little overweight on the chunkier side of things. But it never really felt like truly that much of an issue to me until probably going into elementary school, the later years of elementary school, when people started picking on me. Pretty creative names, I do say. Bullying's never okay, but they did come up with some pretty interesting ways to call me fat. Bowling ball, double wide. Kind of like that interview. It's a really old clip of the interviewer, and he's like, the kid's talking about being picked on, and he's like, "Oh, double wide, Big Mac," and the kid's like, It's like, okay, dude. But that's a tangent. Anyways, that's me kind of getting picked on about being overweight. And for years and multiple tries, I tried to lose weight. Even as a kid, it's really sad that like I was focusing so much on my self-image and my weight, but it's just the way things turned out, and I'm pretty thankful for it in the end, at least in retrospect. But like I said, multiple tries, multiple failed attempts, lacking dedication, motivation, whatever you want to call it, finally led up to 2022, specifically September 2022, when I basically told myself that no matter how long it took and no matter how many times I failed, that I would lose the weight, I'd improve my physical health, because at that point I was actually starting to feel crappy, not just feel crappy about how I looked. But I told myself no matter how long it took, I was going to do it. And over the next year or so, it wasn't immediate changes. It was slow and steady for the most part. But I did start to slowly lose weight, and it was a pretty weird experience, I'll say so, and I'll explain why. Is you notice people do treat you better, and it's a sad fact in life that the people that once bullied me, I wouldn't necessarily say respected, but they didn't bully me anymore simply because I look different, even though deep down I'm the same dorky, fun-loving kid, adult, whatever you want to call me now. I'm still the same person before losing weight. But in today's society, image does matter, even though it shouldn't, but it just does. But that's kind of the gist of what I'm saying, is that I'm the same person no matter what weight I'm at, and that person is someone that doesn't give up, especially after that experience with weight loss, but someone that just wants to have fun, someone that thinks doing the right thing is always important. Obviously, some of my biggest role models are in the background, but yeah, that's kind of the overview of 2022 as a whole. and everything was going smoothly until it wasn't. In August of 2024, specifically August 10th, I tore my pec tendon right off the bone where it sits in your arm, right about here. And not only was it the worst physical pain I've ever felt in my life, this wasn't just a joke, by the way, it literally felt like my muscle ripping like a paper towel and very hot, kind of stabbing almost. But like I said, not only the worst physical pain I've ever felt in my life, but mentally I was destroyed in an instant. I knew what I did. I've seen other people online do it, and it happening to me instantly just destroyed my mental health. I felt like years of weight loss, years of progress in the gym, years of building up confidence and strength was completely just literally ripped away from me in an instant. And I didn't really show it on the outside, but immediately I was destroyed. Like, I didn't know what was going to happen. I knew that it was going to be months, if not a year, of recovery. And it wiped me. I felt empty, alone. I was surrounded by people when it happened, but I was just in my head immediately feeling all these negative things. But I almost passed out on the curb outside the gym because I did this while bench pressing. And after not passing out, thankfully, I got a ride to the emergency room, and funny enough, they told me that I was fine, which, not saying I'm smarter than a doctor, but when they x-rayed my arm, I knew that they weren't going to actually have an answer because even my dumbass knew that it was a muscular issue and not a skeletal one. So I was sent home for the night, believe it or not, with a sling and just some over-the-counter Benadryl. Yeah, that really fucking helps, guys. But that night in my bed, there was still a good period of time where I was just destroyed. I was upset. To be quite frank, because transparency is something I want to get across through this channel, is I even already immediately had thoughts of just giving up on not just my shoulder, but life in general. And it was in that moment I feel I became a completely different person. This is the most pivotal point in my superhero origin story. Is if you've read any Batman comic, you know there's a panel where he's praying on his bed, not praying, making an oath on his bed that he will become Batman basically after his parents are killed. And that's how it felt for me in retrospect. Is I remember laying in my bed in pain still, and I remember telling myself that no matter how long it took, no matter how hard it was, no matter what the doctors told me, my family told me, my friends told me, is I was going to be back stronger, and that I would not let any physical damage and scars define my story, my superhero story. And let's just say that I have come a long ways. There was a 2-week period where I was walking around without a tendon on my boobie. Like, literally, it was just sitting in my chest, nothing there. But I finally got the surgery, and that's when the real work began. They told me it was going to be 6 months to a year before I was even able to strengthen it back to full potential. And like I said, that oath was bullcrap. Like, what they were saying was bullcrap. I knew my potential, my limits, and from September of 2024 till January of 2025, I literally changed who I was, not physically, but also mentally as a person. My work ethic doubled like tenfold on itself. It is infinitely better. And mentally, I'm a stronger person. And come January, I was in the best shape of my life, and still am in the best shape of my life. I take care of myself, I stretch, and it's never going to leave me. This is a scar that mentally still affects me some days, but the importance that this taught me is that nothing, and I mean nothing, is impossible, not just for me, but for anybody that walks on this planet. And it really just depends on how bad you want it. And I wanted it more than anyone. I wasn't going to let my story end there because I know I had so much more to accomplish and do when it came to my physical journey. And I wouldn't have it any other way. I've said this to my friends. If there was a genie that came to me and said, hey, I can make this not happen, like, dude, you would be benching 315 right now, I would not do it because I wouldn't be mentally as strong. I wouldn't be as far ahead of on my mental health as I am. I know how to handle hard situations, and that's exactly what this channel is about. Is even when it feels impossible, even when it feels hard, It's not impossible, and it's just how bad you want it. And I want it more. I don't know how to explain it. When I want something, there's nothing on this planet that will stop me from achieving it. And that is something I can only really be thankful, not even for the weight loss, but for this experience, this scar that even though it hurts some days and it looks a little gross, I'm thankful for everything that it gave me, because I literally do feel like I'm on the path I'm meant to be on, not just with this, but everything I'm doing for the next chapter of my life. But that's something I'm going to talk about. Actually, past me is going to talk about on my hike, because I filmed this clip and I really like what I say, especially towards the end. But present me is signing out on this video, and I hope you guys know that everything you want is within your hands, within your grasp, and it's possible. But let's hear the message that past me has cooked up for this video. So my ultimate goal with this video was to show you how my experience losing weight and how that led into me being injured and recovering from that, and all these different things that shaped together who I am have set me down this path that I want to show people that even when it feels impossible, when it feels hard, when people make fun of you, when they put you down, it's not impossible. It takes hard work, it takes time, and if you want to achieve something, nobody's going to do it for you. But the whole point of this channel is to show people how to be the hero of their own story, and how to be kind and strong and find strength in doing the hard thing even when it's not easy or everybody's telling you you shouldn't. And I say this as I'm on top of a rock formation that I climbed on while it's raining. I get to look at my town that I grew up in and know that I have bigger places to go, and that I have a lot to do, a lot of things to achieve along the way, people to meet, people to inspire. I want to be able for people to look at me, a regular guy right now, 18 years old, and by the end of my life, I want people to look at me as an example of what it means to chase what you love, what it means to be a superhero in the sense that you can do what you want and have a life you love, help people along the way, be kind, and don't let anybody tell you you can or can't do something, because I don't want to look back when I'm 80, dying, and not have done everything I would have wanted to. And even then, I know that's a steep goal, because if I could live 1,000 lifetimes, there's 1,000 million different things I could do. But we only get one lifetime, and I'm going to live mine to the fullest, not just for myself, but for people I know look up to me, my family, my friends, people that I can't let down at this point. I don't want to let myself down, and I want to be the hero of my own story, and I want you guys to follow me as I do that, so you can be your own hero. But this is the end of my origin story, and I can't wait for what's to come in my life, and for me to do things I love with people I love, and inspire people that I love, and be the superhero of my own story. So I'll see if I add this into the second video.
Hopefully this makes it, guys. All right. Outro starting in 3, 2.